My name's Braden Capel, and today I will be presenting my Visual 8 presentation on computers with my dad Roger as my audience. Computers are something we use every day, whether it's just to surf the web or get work done. These devices have played such a big role in society for years, and today I'm going to help open your eyes to some information you may not have known. Starting with the motherboard. It is titled the motherboard because it is the origin point of the other parts of the computer where every component connects to. In a way, it's kind of like the motherland of the PC. The motherboard is basically a circuit board of a decent size that acts as a nexus of some sort because it facilitates the communication of all the other components in your computer. You can also expand your motherboard by adding more ports that allow you to connect even more aux devices to your computer. In other words, you have control over what your PC's capabilities are. Now we're going to talk about the power supply. The power supply is what you would call the powerhouse of the computer. It ensures that every other component gets the juice it needs to properly function. The power supply looks like a black box of sorts with a fan built into it. It's plugged into the motherboard where it supplies power to all the other parts of your computer. Now the fan on your power supply plays a very important role. It cools down as it's doing its duty so that the internals of the PC don't overheat in the process. Also, make sure to keep that fan clean so that the power supply can function correctly. Now let's take a look into the central processing unit, aka the CPU. The CPU is to a PC as an engine is to a car. It is basically the brains of the computer. The more powerful a CPU is, the more capable it is of carrying out more and more intense work. The CPU doesn't always function at a single speed. The speed can vary depending on the priority and intensity of the work. Now let's take a look about how your RAM and how your video card works. The video card is a dedicated component that hands the images output by your monitor's display. If your work involves highly visual work at very high definitions, then you should get yourself a video card to take the load off your RAM. RAM is your random access memory. Sometimes the PC may have integrated graphics where some of the RAM is borrowed for graphics processing. This happens a lot on laptops because there's a lot of need to save space. Other parts of your computer include your optical drive, which is used to read CDs and DVDs, which is located right here in the front. It can also be used to install software or play games. There's also hard drives and solid state drives, which earlier we talked about your RAM. Well, your RAM is actually very volatile due to its temporary nature, which means that the PC still needs a more permanent form of storage. That is why the hard drive and your solid state drive exist. Both drives are much faster and reliable than your RAM. Your solid state drive will cost more than a normal hard drive, but it's also a lot faster and a lot more reliable. Computers are very interesting and intriguing devices that seem complex, but really aren't that complex when you find out how all the components fit and how all the different parts are used to help it run. I hope you enjoyed this presentation and that it will help you in the future with your own computer. Thank you for listening.